blessed, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, okay. There we go.
Okay, and I'm so excited. I'm so blessed. I can appreciate people who've been blessing me and allowing me the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. We have a special blessing for you all. We have this beautiful queen. Her name is Miss Jeanne Whitaker, and she now is in the state of Oklahoma. She is somebody that is a hairdresser. She's somebody that understands the industry. She's somebody that understands business. She is somebody that understands the importance of continuing education. She is somebody that understands following your dreams while still preparing ourselves to lead to the roads of success. She is somebody that understands the ups, that understands the downs. And we just want to give her a moment just to introduce herself. But I thank you once again, Miss Jeannie. Thank you for being here. Thank you so
And I
much.
thank you for letting me share, my success, my failures, my everything as a hairdresser. And yeah, live streaming. Wow, I've never done this before, so this is pretty exciting. Yeah. But I work at a
So,
salon now that I rent my chair, and I work for the most wonderful lady that there ever was. I mean, I did have a really, really good boss, not the last salon, but the salon before that. And I didn't think anybody could top her, but this lady that I'm working for now, she's just so sweet, such a nice lady, and everything at our salon is just really, really good. And I'm really glad. It was hard for me to go out and rent my own chair because, I'd always worked for somebody, got paid by somebody, never had my own salon or my own business up until about the last, 3 year, or no, the last year and a half, excuse me. The last year and a half, I've done this at this salon, and then I did it previous to this for a little bit. But yeah, it was kind of a scary move to make, but it was so worth it.
so let's start right here. Tell us how long,
About the last, you know,
tell us how long you have been in the industry.
oh God, since 1987.
Okay. So let's talk about hair school for a minute. Because
Oh yeah,
I'm going somewhere with this hair school situation.
sure.
Talk to us about the requirements, the mandates, the dress code, the punctuality with being on time, if there was. Talk to us briefly about hair school.
Oh yeah, hair school was like having a job. We always had to have our white lab coats on. We definitely had to be there on time, take our lunch break, get out of there on time. And what beauty college was for me was sanitation, sanitation, sanitation. They didn't really teach a whole lot as far as techniques or styles or this or that. Sanitation, sanitation, sanitation is what they really, really enforced, so we could pass the state cosmetology exam and get our license and go on.
Okay, so upon finishing hair school, what was your next step be after hair school?
After hair school, I took a vacation. No, after hair school, I went out and I worked for corporate. I had a corporate job cutting hair. I think back then it was $6 a haircut for supercuts, and
Wow.
yeah, so that's what I did. I worked for corporate stores for the first while, for the first 10 years. And it was one of the best things that I could have done because they sent me for additional training. So I actually knew what I was doing when I went into the salon, to the supercuts to cut hair. And back then too, because it was corporate, they matched all our funds that we put in for stocks, for retirement, or they had
Mhm.
quite a few different programs going, and that was great at that time because I did all that, and that worked out well for me. It was really good. The stocks end up splitting, and then they split again, and then they split again. And so that did really well because they would match all the money that I put in up to a certain percentage, and that was just fantastic. They don't do that
Wow.
any longer, but they did when I was coming up.
Wow. So So you mentioned that you what in a corporate or franchise salon, they had the stock, they offered you the continuing, education. So at what point did you decide, okay, it's time to branch off? And was there some fear there when you chose to make
Oh
that
yeah.
decision? Okay.
Yeah, how it went down was, I ended up going back to college for I wanted to get a business management certificate. And right before I was done, before I could complete that, my salon Supercuts opened up the management position to anybody with any time, because you had to have 2 years in with Supercuts before you could ever think about applying for a management position. But then they opened it up for everybody. So instead of, finishing my business management education, I applied for the job and got it. And I
Okay.
ended up managing 7 of the Supercuts around my area. And then at the end of that, when my boss came to me and she said, "Jeannie, you've capped out your salary. You can go no further with this. So we're gonna drop you back down to a hairstylist, and you're gonna work at our other salon making $8.25 an hour." And she said, "But I'll give you the rest of the day to think about it." And so I came back at the end of the day and I handed her keys and her cards, her credit cards for the salons, and said, "Thank you for the opportunity to let me manage your salons, but I'm going to do something different." And yeah, that was scary. I didn't know what I was going to do at that point. And I had a girlfriend that was in cosmetology school with me that I had known her parents ever since I was like 5 years old. And so I went to talk to her mom about a job because she had a great salon, all full service. I'd never done full service before. So when I went in there, I'm like, "Yeah, you got a job? I need a job." And she said, "Well, in about 3 months." So I took 3 months off, and I went in there and I told her, that I'd worked at Supercuts, and all I knew how to do was to cut hair, and anything else was, beyond me. She said, "Oh, girl, I tell you what to do. I teach you." And so she took me under her wing, and so did the 5 stylists at the salon, and they taught me a whole lot about really doing hair.
Okay.
So that was just great. But yeah, that was scary. I just, what do you mean? You got to do a perm with somebody's hair that's down past her ass? No, no, I can't do that. I cuss too much. She's like, "Oh, gee, you can do it."
Look, it'll be okay.
Yeah, no, you just talk them in sweet. She says, talk the rods in sweet, and you'll get it."
You know, um, I like the fact that you mentioned, even with your transition, there was still some things you had to learn. And I tell people always talk about what school didn't teach them. And I tell people training come in the field.
It
School is
really
to get
does.
your license, is to get that piece of paper so that you can be certified, bona fide, and qualified. School does not,
No,
it does
they
not
don't
fix
teach
you
you.
up for anything technically other than state board. Now, if you're blessed to be around some people who offer you something different while you're in school or to show you something different, in my opinion, that's a good thing, because out of a few of my teachers, I had two that were 100 them women right there. Do you hear me?
Yeah, right,
One of our teachers told, she went as far to tell us, see these people, they crazy. I wouldn't dare let y'all play in my head. They come all the way up. Y'all just, but she was letting us know that this is practice for y'all.
right,
That y'all are in school, and even though basically you should do your best, but people do have to understand that you all are still in school. But she was also letting us know we wouldn't be playing. Look, her story, well, y'all be up here playing all over in my hair. And then, now you hear people talk about what school and teach this, school and teach that. And I would tell people training comes in the field. Like how you're not going to get all of your training at one place.
no, no, you get it everywhere,
Right.
everywhere. It comes from all sorts of different places all
Yes.
the time too.
Yes.
If you're willing to learn and keep an open mind and not just, be closed down on what you do, just kind of, let it expand, and you can get lots of stuff from lots of places. I have a 10-year-old boy came in at one time and he said, "Okay, this is how I want my haircut. I want it, this and that." And I'm like, "Boy, that ain't going to look no good on you." And he goes, "I don't care. I want you to do it." And after we got done, it looked really, really good. It was fantastic. And I'm like, Yeah, okay. I'll never let it, I won't keep my mind so closed that that's not going to look good. And then, and he already had the vision in his mind, and I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't see it, until we got done. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That education came from a 10-year-old boy that day. I don't tell people that anymore. It's not going to look good or whatever. If that's what you want me to do, I'll do it. I like to give people what they want, not what I want
Yeah.
them to have, you know.
Yes. 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 So, with you, you went from say you worked for Supercuts, and then you got what you needed there, and you end up going to this other place. So in your transition, what were the pros and cons, like working in a private salon versus a corporate salon, or what were the pros and cons of corporate salon versus the private salon, even not just in that in that particular order, but like if you could give some people some advice now who may be coming out of school or who may be in the industry. You have people who are in private salons that need training, but they may not want to go to corporate or franchise salons because they're looking at the money and they don't have control of their schedules. But regardless of the situation, what advice in general would you give us hairstylists or barbers or anybody in our field of trade as far as some things that we need to consider versus boothering or working in a franchise corporation? What type of advice would you give people?
If it's fresh out of school, I would, say definitely, if you can get paid training from a salon that they will pay for your training, absolutely, that'd be a good way to go.
Okay.
As far as the internet too, the internet's a really good place for lots of tips and tricks and, things on hairdressing. You just gotta be careful who you watch, Um, and as far as, being at a salon, I learn from my coworkers all day long. I mean,
Mhm.
we'll yell across the salon, "Hey, yeah, you know what I would do? I would do, this kind of mixture for that kind of color." And then, somebody else would, "Well, I've done this kind of mixture for that kind of color." And, and it is just on, I mean, so like I said, that's really good stuff, definitely to get training and kind of know what you're doing before you actually do it. And continuing education as far as the shows go and things like that. When I go to a show, I try to learn one new thing, just
Okay.
one new thing,
Okay.
and I've done that every year that I've been to a show, just learn one new thing and implement it into my hairdressing. And it works for me, because I try not to stay stagnant. I try not to, because I am an old hairdresser, I don't want to work like I'm an old hairdresser,
Well, I want to,
I
before
want
you
to,
finish, I
yeah.
want to put a pause because people really need to hear this. How long have you been in the industry?
Oh, 30, is it 37 years now?
I'm
To
commending you
24.
because at
It's
37,
37 years now.
you still go to hair shows.
Absolutely.
So you still
Absolutely.
have a thirst and a desire
Oh, absolutely.
to
Yeah.
still learn.
Hairdressing. Absolutely.
And
You got to learn.
these are hair shows that you have to pay for to go
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
yourself.
Oh, yeah, and then
The,
drive there and do all that, yeah. I've been to some really good hair shows. Been to San Francisco. I would like to get out to the Vegas hair show. I haven't been to that one yet. That would be a good one
okay.
to go to. But I've been to Dallas, been to LA, been to San Francisco. I've seen all these hair shows, and yeah, continuing education. If you want to stay current and keep improving yourself, you're only going to get better in your client. You're only going to get clients that will love you. I mean, just that's where it's at.
I commend you for that. Like, I'm taking like a breath right now because sometimes we get comfortable, and sometimes just in general we get used to what we're doing, and we don't think that we know the training and continuing education is essential, but sometimes the initiation or the willingness to do it is not even there.
Hmm.
And to sit here just literally before somebody who has been doing it, in my most humble opinion, even though it's been over 30 years, but the fact that you have been doing what you do over 25 years, and I'm pretty sure that you are damn good at what you do,
I'm all right.
you still are no so far above. You don't you even though regardless of your time and your longevity, you still make it a point to make sure you get to continuing education. You're not making sure that nobody else provides it for you. You're
Right.
making sure to make ready for yourself to be able to participate. And you just said at least try to take away new one new thing.
Yeah.
And I commend you. I really commend you for that. Um, hairdressers and barbers, a lot of us don't know how to budget money. They make cash on hand,
Yes.
or if they're in a corporate or franchise environment, we tend to spend tips a little quick, or if you're in a private setting, we tend to spend the money real quick. So, what would your financial insight be on what form of discipline or what form of what routines or what habits do you think people need to consider
Well,
doing?
this has been like my financial situation in the last since the pandemic has been just bad. But before that, try to take 10% of my paycheck and have a savings account. And I try to have it, I don't even have it at my own bank. So when I get my 10%, I go and put it in my savings account and then I leave it, and I have my checking account and my business account at the same bank. And and that's where I pay my home bills and my work bills. And then the savings account, every time I get money, 10% of what I get I put in there. And before I know it, I'm looking at how much I have in there and it's like, wow. And that only happened in 6 months. And I just try to make sure that I save 10% of my income so I don't so I have it for emergencies, for vacations, I mean, for whatever I need it for, and this last little while, I think my savings account was like over $3,000 before the pandemic. And after the pandemic, I depleted it, and so it's been a little bit of working it back up, and but now that it's getting not to where it was, but it's getting up there now. So it's a lot better than not having a savings account, because it's hard to not have any money to rely on when you don't have any money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the 10% really works, because I make a bit of money, so 10% of what I make, it ends up being a lot after a year,
I
so.
never have been, I have been told to do things as well as other people, but I don't recall nobody giving a specific amount to consider. Like people say, oh, pay yourself first, put your something up, do this, do that. I don't recall somebody giving a specific amount. So I do want to thank you for that, because I've literally been sharing this with a couple of hairstylists, while I was looking down to their text messages. And it's these are things that sometimes people need to hear, because we want to make people look good, we want to make people feel good. Oh, it's what we love to do, and we don't consider, like, okay, you got to save for the future, cost and stuff. It's just always it's just truly always going to be something. So how long, like at what point in your life did you decide you wanted to be a hairstylist?
I was in 8th grade, and I
Wow.
can tell you exactly when I made that decision. In the corner of College and Mendocino Avenue in Santa Rosa, California. I got a bad haircut. I went to the beauty college, and I was growing my hair out, and it was getting down to my shoulders. And when I went into the beauty college, the girl couldn't get it even on each side, so she kept going up and up. And then I had hair under my ears, like, and it was just the nastiest haircut I ever had, so I cried. Yeah, I don't want to be a hairdresser because I don't want anybody to ever feel like this. So when I was in the eighth grade, I decided that's what I wanted to do. And I made my big brother sit down in the chair. Come on, John, we're going to give you a haircut. Then I'd go in the mall and I'd get my haircut. Then I'd make my big brother sit down again. Come on, John, I got to try something new, you know. So it was the eighth grade. Yep.
Okay. So, right now we are in this wonderful age of technology, and we have a lot of stylists, not stylists, but they're stylists, but they're not certified stylists. We see a lot of things, like you say, we have to be careful what we see and what we do on the internet. Do you have a concern with the way things are going in this era of social media or the internet or whatever? Is there, do you have like any concern on just what's
I,
happening in general, even if it's not social media? Do you have any concerns with the industry?
well, the only concern that I had there for a little while, and they finally got over it, is when they were going to let just anybody cut hair with no license. You know, they considered that for a minute, and I'm really glad that they didn't, because that would be a disaster. That would be a big disaster. And, you know, not only for myself, because there would be so many hairdressers out there that didn't know how to doing hair. And so that people's trust in hairdressers would just be gone, you know, especially if you didn't have to have a license. And they considered that. And I'm like, oh no, that would be so bad. So I'm glad they're not considering that now. So that was the only concern that I had for a while.
Okay. Okay. So um in this time, some of what I see, um I don't have this huge bulky clientele, but I have a decent clientele, and I'm not one to post pictures and do all this kind of stuff. I used to, but it wasn't my thing. It wasn't per se my thing some years ago. It's not per se my thing now. What would you think if it's a stylist who may be starting off, or a stylist who may be seasoned and they're working to boost and build their clientele? What type of insight would you give anybody, on how to keep constantly building their clientele?
It's that's a hard one, but generally, I mean, I worked out pretty good. It's word of mouth. Betty would tell Jean, or Jean would ask Betty, wow, who did your hair? I love it. Word of mouth is really good. So I mean, just doing a good job, and everybody that you do and making the person in your chair happy is really going to be a good business builder. I mean, I went around and I knocked on doors and I gave people flyers and my card, told them I was up the way, starting at a new salon. I did all that, and I did, just go and stand at a door and give people your card and you say you're building your business. But the best business builder was word of mouth for me.
Okay. 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 So in today's time, especially now, even with a lot of your people coming out of school, a lot of people don't want to work that franchise or that corporate salon. A lot of people want to have more control over their time. Different people are just choosing to do different things. I feel like the industry is no more wide open now than it was 10, 15, 20, or 30 years ago. I just feel like people have just made a choice that if this is my specialty, this is what I stick to, and I may add some extra things um, in between. So, what for what are the great things about owning a salon or renting a booth spot versus working under somebody else, where you may be in a corporate or a franchise setting? What does the corporation offer that's good? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the pros and cons for being in booth rental, or renting a suite, or owning your own salon? What would those things be for each?
So working for somebody, a franchise, corporate store, whatever, the pros are, they pay for your education, and they're gonna pay you, they figure your paycheck. You get paid, whatever they deem, whether it's commission, which I did that, or hourly, and then plus your tips on top of that. And you're set, you have a schedule, so if you're a person that needs a schedule, that's a good thing to work for somebody else. Now I always wanted, when I got into this, my ideal schedule was 4 days a week, 6 hours a day. Well, I'm at 4 days a week, 6 hours a day now sometimes, but sometimes I'm working 10, 11, 12 hours, all depending on who I have coming in, because I've allowed myself one set day, Monday, because I work Mondays, but one set day, Monday, I work 10 to 5, period. I don't extend it any longer. Sometimes I'll come in a half an hour early, but that's it. But, I really like that I can have my Monday through Thursday schedule, renting a booth where I'm at, and I can come and go as I please. Now I
Mhm.
do like to, I connect with my boss, and we make sure that our salon stays open the 6 days a week that we're open. So all of them were going on a trip, and I decided, well, I'll work Saturday. Nobody's going to be there, and I had to work one Saturday, I think, last year. So,
Okay.
I mean, I just love that I can have my freedom and, schedule my own clients. So I know what I'm doing, whereas, if you working for somebody else, you really don't know what you're going to do if somebody else is booking your clients for you. Um, and I've got the freedom to do whatever I want. I don't have to try to do 4 haircuts an hour. I mean, I can take my time with whoever is in my chair. I can do what I want with. If I want to do 4 haircuts an hour, well, I can schedule that. You know, if I want to do 2 haircuts in one day, well, I can schedule that also. And I like that I can make as much money as I want, basically. I mean, I try to set my schedule where I make anywhere from $35 to $50 an hour with my schedule, and that works for me. Now working for another company, I couldn't do that, and well, unless it was Christmas time, customers are real nice about tipping at Christmas time, a lot of extra money, but yeah, I like it that I can make what I want working for myself.
You mentioned tips, but that's one thing for you to consider tips as your income when you're working for yourself. But do you think it's fair for corporations or franchises to try to factor in tips as part of income?
No, no, not at all. No, I don't.
Even though a
It's
lot of
not in
places
it's
do.
it's not income. It's somebody appreciating who you are, what you do with them, and that's how they show their appreciation. That's all that is. I mean, it's not income.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be counted as income or taxed.
And it's not guaranteed.
Right. No, it's
So
not.
you make
No.
$100 this week in tips. There's no guarantee you make $100 next week in tips. Is extra.
Mhm.
My theory
Yeah.
is that's a personal thing. If I
It
sit
is.
in Miss Jeannie's chair and Miss Jeannie provides me with the service, if I leave Jeannie $50, that's between me and Miss Jeannie.
Right. That's
Is
what I
it
think
her
also.
extra money should not be considered part of income. Is that do you have any type of insight or opinion as to why you think because more people are choosing to go to booth rent or salon rent or on their own versus working in franchise or corporate salons to stay in time? Have you noticed that? And it could just be in the area where I am.
Well, yeah, I'm not real sure because I don't hang out with the corporate or franchise stores
Okay.
much anymore. I'm not even around them much anymore. The
Okay.
salons that we deal with are basically like us, booth rental also. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, I'm not really sure how that is these days.
How that
Back
work?
then I could have told you when I worked there, I could have told you about any of the corporate stores in my town or any of the franchises in my town. But now being out of it for so long, I can't
Mhm.
tell you about how those stores are anymore. I mean, I just
Okay.
know I like booth rent, and we hired a girl, I think October. She was fresh out of school, just got her license, and she decided she wanted to start in a booth rent salon.
Okay.
And I see her sitting around a lot, and I try to help her out, with whatever I can, get her clients, sit in her chair. I mean, do something so she's not, you know,
Mhm.
and it just takes a lot of a lot of gusto, I guess, to get out there and rent a salon from the beginning, but she's a really great woman and she's doing it real good. I mean, it's working out for her real good. So I'm happy to see that for her. Yeah.
Wow. So with us being in the industry, another thing that kind of concerns a lot of people are two things: healthcare and retirement.
Right. Yeah.
What would your insight be on those two things?
That's a hard thing for me. I do have two retirement accounts, and they started from the supercuts that I worked at a long time ago. And those, my retirement account, I try to put 2% of my money in. I try to get to the max at the end of the year that I can put in there. The last couple of years it hasn't worked out that well, and as far as healthcare, I've really got nothing. I've got my own doctor that I private pay. I have no healthcare, so that's been a deal, so I don't have much to say about that except for get a doctor.
Get
Get
a
a doctor.
doctor.
See a
Well,
doctor.
I looked up and ended up with two. And I'm thankful for them. I'm truly thankful for them. I don't even know if I'm mad now because of the way things are going in the healthcare industry. So you have people that paying decent insurance, and it's just some things they're still just not getting in today's time. So if you could give some insight about following your dreams. Now we know this is something you've been knowing you wanted to do from the eighth grade. You got this horrible haircut. The stylist couldn't get it even. And she just went up and up and up and up. But if you could encourage, let's say this. This is a touchy subject for me. I'm gonna use myself for a prop for an example. I was at a client's hair the other day at a client's house, and I was cutting his hair. Now, this particular gentleman, he's a senior in high school. And he said, "Well, Miss Lethal, how long you been wanting to do hair?" So I came out the womb doing hair. He was
All
like,
right.
"Really?" I was like, "I was one of those people. I came out the womb." And I shared with him something in that moment. I said, "But when I wanted to move forward in that, you know, literally it was not embraced. It was like, oh no, it's a beauty shop on every corner. This is what you need to do. You need to go, you need to go get a degree, all this kind of stuff." I said, so when I graduated high school, I did not pursue my passion. And I just told him, I came to Jackson and went to Jackson State and told myself I was going to be a biology major, did that 3 years and flunked out of that and changed my major. Then started courting and having kids. I just ended up all over the place. I just told him,
Yeah.
this thing I knew I'm all over the place. Okay. And I
Yeah.
said, it took me till I told him I sold cars in 2007. And I said in 2008, the market crashed. And I said, I walked off my job and I went and got in hair school. I said, so I got a official late start on something that I always had a passion for because I made a decision not to do something because I'm too busy trying to please people. The encouragement did not come in until later on in life, and I went through all these blocks in life, right?
Yeah.
And then once I started doing it and I got these kids and I'm working these hours, but the encouragement was not directly there. And I'm not knocking anybody, don't get me wrong, but the support literally was not there. And I didn't do it because I didn't want to make nobody feel like I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do. I wasn't making people proud. And it's a beauty shop on every corner and everybody is doing hair. And so if you could speak to people that may be on that fence and they want to follow their dreams, because I found myself telling this gentleman, whatever you do, please follow your dreams.
That's it. That's for
But
sure.
then I battled with in a 17, 16, 17-year-old brain, then
Right.
I didn't want to disappoint nobody. So if you could talk to the older people, start with them first, and then talk to the younger people who have dreams and aspirations, and just give each group, each sector, some insight. What would
Well,
that be?
just like you said, they're people that are passionate about a whole lot of things, from when they're very young,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I would encourage a child, encourage a teenager, encourage whoever has a dream to just step out and follow it, because like you said, you ended up doing it later in life, and you probably kind of wished you'd have done it earlier, but I can understand being a people pleaser. I can understand wanting to do that, but I was always kind of a leader. I had ideas where I was going, and so when I was 17, that's when I dropped out of high school, I went to beauty college, because that's what I wanted to do, and I knew that, and I really didn't have a whole lot of support either when I went, except for my brothers. Both my brothers came to beauty college and visited me and had me do their hair. And my little brother, I messed his hair up so many times, and he kept coming back, kept coming back. But my big brother, I did his hair all the time, real, real nice. But yeah, just if you want to be a hairdresser, be a hairdresser. Go to school. It's only 9 months, and if you don't like it after 9 months, then go do something else. A lot of hairdressers turn into nurses. A lot of hairdressers go to nursing school, and that's what they do. But yeah, you just got to follow whatever you think that you're going to love. I mean, if you love your job, you're not working a day in your life. You know what I mean? And that's so true. I go into work loving what I do. Can't wait to try something on somebody else. Or I had this lady. She'd come to me and she'd just like, okay, Jeannie, I am putty in her hands. Do whatever you want. And I'm like, really? Whatever I want? No limitations? Never, none. And that lady, I took her from A to Z, from short blonde to dark curly black to and everything in between. We got some good hair going on her. A couple of times we didn't have so much good hair, but yeah, I think that yeah, if it's your passion, do it, and don't let anybody stop you, for sure.
Thank you for that, because there are a lot of people, and not just young people. They're struggling, and we have these desires to do things, and I can appreciate you, especially mentioning your experience, and when you like really had that aha moment in the eighth grade, and this is something like you knew that's really what you wanted to do. And I can still appreciate the fact that hey, 17, I decided I'm not gonna do this. I'm going to hair school. This is what I'm going to do. And then after doing something for over 30 years, you still make a way to get ongoing training for yourself. You do.
Yeah,
That's a rarity in any industry, not just the hair industry. Most people put in X amount of years, and most people feel like there's nothing else they can learn.
right. Yeah.
And
No,
so
there's
you
always
truly
something to
have
learn.
to have a passion. Like, it's got to be something like within your that's embedded in your heart, though, for what it is that you have to do. And then you took the time here just to, like, I'm like emotionally full in a good way right now, because people is needed and is necessary, and people don't get to hear about always people's experiences. People don't always get to hear about people's journeys. People always assume that, oh, Miss Jeannie done had it easy her whole time. Miss Jeannie,
Yeah.
I'm sure she done had it easy the whole while. And when I just sit here and just listen, especially with COVID, you know, and COVID just came in and just put a whammy
Oh, it did. It
on
did.
people in general.
It did. But yeah, it did. And I ended up taking what, 5 weeks off of work. And during that 5 weeks, or it was 5 or 6 weeks now, I can't remember, but I had to take it off work. And I was thinking, how am I going to eat? How am I going to, I didn't get
Mhm.
any unemployment. Somebody stole my identity. And but I'm going to tell you what, my clients for that 5 or 6 weeks, however long I was out of work, I got to go to their house. I had clients that I hadn't seen in a minute that just cashed at me money, just, so I could make it. When I got done, when I went back to work after that 5 or 6 weeks, my clients had taken such good care of me that I had one bill that it was an OG&E bill that I had to split into payments and make payments on. All the rest of my bills were taken care of. And my food, oh God, I didn't have to worry about eating or, any of that. I mean, my clients took really good care of me. So, that's another thing that comes from this. You do, it's not just clients, they're friends,
They are.
that you make doing hair. Yeah, because I
I'm
couldn't have
glad
done it
you
without them
mentioned
for
that.
sure. Yeah, they
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm
it was
going to
so
one of
amazing.
my ladies Monday, and she say, "I'm sorry." She had mentioned to me once before, if I know you're busy, but if you could just space away time. And so she's like, I'm like, she just wants to sit down and just prepare food for me.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I just get so in awe about that kind of stuff because, especially considering, and I'm not talking about per se money, I'm just talking about considering like the world, you have more people who are just trying to connect and just be there truly for people. You have more people who are willing to pull together versus people who are willing to be separated. You
right.
have more people who are willing to say, look, I don't know how you going through, but if you got time or if you don't mind, I would like to do this for you. You know,
Mhm.
and just you saying that, I admire you for that because I was one of those people. I didn't know what to do. People was asking me, and I wouldn't even go to their houses because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
Then I fooled around and got COVID, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I fooled around and got COVID after I pulled myself together to get I call it a rabies shot. My folks tell me stop saying that, but I got my reasons for saying it. And
Right.
then when the health department called me, I just totally went off on them. I told them, folks, don't call me no more. Just leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered no more, right? And I didn't do something out of fear, is what I'm saying. I
Right.
allowed myself to become afraid.
Right.
And you are clearly a woman who you push beyond things, and it is an inspiration to people because, you know, true enough, I can look at somebody who been in the industry professionally as long as I have, but when I look at somebody who's been in the industry longer than I have, and it just reminds me like, you need to get your shit together. Like if she can go get her ongoing training, you need to get your own. Don't stop. Is basically what I'm hearing. Nurture your craft and have a passion and be nice to people and think things will work out. We so worried about the bottom line dollar that we forget that things will truly work out if we doing what we are supposed to do. We
Yeah.
forget that. So if there's some motivation, Miss Janie, you just got me. I'm gonna blow some folks' phones up in a minute because I know they ain't watching, but it's okay. But if it's some insight you could give, like some motivation to a hairstylist, no matter where they may be on their journey, what would that be right now?
For motivation, just keep learning and just remember to love your clients. Do what they want, do what you can do. Just I always say, client comes in, just kind of, down and, looking not real
Mhm.
good, and I get my hands on them, right? And when they're done, they're walking out, like that. And that's just what I love to see. That's what motivates me, is my hands on somebody, making them feel like that, not only look
Mhm.
that good, but feel that good too. That's
Mhm.
just, I don't know how to motivate somebody else by that, but that's just that motivates me. So, as far as advice on motivating somebody else, I don't know. But just keep on
But you
keeping on with
are
it.
you are motivating your smile, your pizzazz, So many people let themselves go. You got this natural beauty about yourself. I can clearly tell that you're truly a people person. It almost appears to be you don't meet any strangers. You can carry on a conversation. You can work the room. I mean, that's the motivation people need. You're just a genuine down to earth person, and you're down to earth person for people, and you are the best motivation to me. And I've been like this since before I had kids. I've been one of those people. I don't want folks talking to me about stuff they don't know nothing about.
Right.
Because you can't connect with me. Right. But you connect with me because you're truly talking about stuff that you truly know about.
Yeah.
And that's how you motivate people. People need people they can relate to.
Yeah.
They look up to people that I may not be where Miss Jeanne has been, but Miss Jeanne more than likely has been through what I'm going through. So maybe I need to take a pause and just listen to what Miss Jeanne got to say. Or maybe I just need to pay attention to how she maneuvers and how she deals with people, how she carries herself through the day. Those are things that help motivate people.
Yeah, that's good
and
stuff.
And you are a jewel. And I truly hope you know that.
Yes, I thank you for this, for sure.
I thank you because you have truly, truly, truly blessed me, and not just myself, but this is like beyond an honor to just be before somebody who has been doing what you're doing for that's a while, and you look so darn good.
Oh,
so
what
is the beauty secret though?
I don't do anything. Just
It's
keep my hair dyed red. Keep my hair dyed red, and that's good. I'm good.
It's got to be a secret. We've been talking, and I'm one of those people. I try not to be overly critical. I said, but Lord, some of these people just roll out the bed and go.
Right.
I
Some
was
of them
made
do.
to comb my hair and actually get up and put clothes on and get myself prepared. And then you don't want to be judgmental of people, but it's like, you look so darn good.
Oh, well, thank you.
You really do.
I don't do a whole, I just try to dress nice, look professional, and especially when I'm doing hair. Now, when I'm not doing hair, oh no, it's a mess. I'm a mess. I put on my, my rags, don't comb my hair for 3 days. That Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I'm off work. Yeah, my hair don't get combed those days. Oh wait, got combed today just because of you. But no.
But I'm special. That makes me feel so good.
This is a special night.
That makes me feel good. Well, Miss Jeanne, I thank you for taking your time with me tonight. I will be in further contact.
All right.
I got one hairdresser that's gonna drop some off on me to consider. So, but honestly, I am truly, deeply thankful, and I'm grateful for you because enough people don't get to hear these type of things. We don't get to hear the importance and the drive and the motivation and the considerations. And this is, you could have said a lot, but one thing you did not say, and I think that's what bothers me. I tell people I don't do what I do for money.
Right.
Like, it's not, if you're doing it for money, in my most humble opinion, no matter what it is, you're doing it for the wrong reason, because in my most humble opinion, you really got to love and enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly. That's what I think too. Yeah, absolutely.
And I thank you once again, and I will be in touch. You are so beautiful. You are so awesome. And I thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome for allowing me the privilege to just sit before you. And I hope you have a great evening, okay?
You have a blessed evening also, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night, beautiful.
Good night.